In the hushed aftermath of century-long internal conflicts, echoes of civil war faded into a calm of stability. This tranquility that enveloped a young empire set its gaze on new horizons with expansionist ambitions. Yet, in the dark forests of the north, a tribal coalition had other plans. Hello, and welcome to Impactful Moments, where we explore some of the most, you guessed it, impactful moments in human history. In this video, we will discuss the Massacre in the Teutoburg Forest, a tribal rebellion that halted Roman expansion. Rome was recovering from a tumultuous century of civil wars, marked by class divisions and power struggles that climaxed with the assassination of Julius Caesar. The aftermath saw Octavian emerge victorious, assuming the title of Augustus in 27 BCE, ushering in a period of stability known as Pax Romana, as Rome shifted from a republic to an empire. With internal affairs settling, Rome pivoted its focus toward expansion, annexing provinces like Galatia, Rhaetia, and Noricum, extending its dominion north and east. Rome also turned its attention to frontier lands across the Rhine River, inhabited by Germanic tribes that frequently clashed with Roman border towns in the province of Gaul. Following a defeat against the Sicambri, Tencteri, and Usipetes tribes in 16 BCE, known as the Clades Loliana or Lolian disaster, Rome escalated its military presence, reorganizing its troops in the area. A series of successful conquests, beginning in 12 BCE, were led in succession by Nero Claudius Drusus, Tiberius, Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, and Marcus Vinicius. These campaigns largely subdued a number of Germanic tribes, including the Sicambri, Frisian, Chauci, and Cherusci, and led the Roman legions as far east as the Weser River. By 6 CE, the empire recognized the region as mostly pacified, with several tribes even expressing allegiance to Rome, providing auxiliary soldiers to the Roman army. While the majority of Germania was outwardly calm, Rome did still have a significant military presence of 13 legions, combating the belligerent Marcomanni people of the Suebi tribe. A separate rebellion in Illyrica, however, diverted military resources, and Rome made peace with the Marcomanni, sending all but 3 legions to the Balkans in order to put down the Illyrian revolt. The Romans appointed Publius Quinctilius Varus, a skilled politician but with limited military experience, to continue the Romanization of the region with the 3 remaining legions. Varus's ruthless reputation, supposedly crucifying dissenters, may have stirred up childhood experiences for Arminius, the son of a Cheruscian chieftain. The Cheruscians had laid a nearly successful ambush against Augustus's stepson Drusus in 11 BCE, but suffered defeat 3 years later, in which Arminius, just a child at the time, was taken captive and raised under Roman rule. Arminius, outwardly a Roman ally who had returned to Germania around 7 CE after serving in the Roman army, became a strong confidant of Varus, helping him strategize in the region. However, while it is unclear exactly when his anti-Roman sentiments began, Arminius harbored animosity, possibly due to his childhood experiences. His early years, witnessing previous ambushes, coupled with his Roman experience, also helped confirm that the Romans were susceptible to defeat. Arminius, also perceiving the vulnerability of Roman legions, which were spread thin due to the Illyrian revolts, began uniting Germanic tribes against Rome. As the winter of 8 and 9 CE moved into spring, Arminius suggested that Varus establish a summer military camp deep in Cherusci territory, which he did in March of 9 CE. This allowed the Germanic tribes to track and keep an eye on the legionary movement. While the early summer months appeared uneventful, Arminius was discreetly rallying Cheruscian and other Germanic tribal forces. By July of 9 CE, Arminius ordered light raids on Roman and neighboring areas by surrounding tribes, creating an atmosphere of unrest. He advised Varus to send parts of his legions to quell the uprisings, effectively dividing the Roman forces into smaller factions. Arminius also had his Cheruscians engage smaller Roman camps, simply asking for aid in typical legal and law enforcement matters, further dividing the troops. Segestes, Arminius's father-in-law, may have attempted to warn Varus about Arminius's deception, but Varus maintained trust in Arminius, possibly on the grounds that Segestes held a grudge against Arminius for marrying his daughter against his will. Varus faced a dilemma during the ongoing uprisings. He had to choose between continuing operations, risking a delayed return to the winter camp, or ending military activities early, which would jeopardize Arminius's plan. While most advisors suggested halting operations, Arminius proposed a detour through the Angrivari territory, framing it as an opportunity to suppress a revolt and take a shorter route back to camp before winter. Varus, in what would prove to be one of the most disastrous military decisions in Roman history, committed to Arminius's course. On September 7th, 9 CE, the Roman legions departed from the Cheruscian camp toward the Angrivari uprising. Arminius, leaving some Cherusci as spies, detached from the group to quote-unquote gather additional Cheruscian troops. Directing the legions through the Teutoburg Forest, Arminius noted that he would rejoin within 2 to 3 days. This forest trek exposed the legions, spreading their compact formation thin, and allowed an initial wave of Bructeri tribesmen to attack the legions on September 8th. While Roman casualties were not significant, the raid fatigued the thinly spread soldiers, with minimal Germanic losses. Torrential downpours worsened the forest conditions, prompting Varus to encamp until the rains subsided. Sensing surrounding danger in the forest, Varus resumed the march once the rains slowed, navigating the Romans through wet and difficult terrain to the foot of Calcrisi Hill. The Roman path was further impeded by a trench and an earthen wall alongside the forest-adjacent road. These obstacles not only blocked the Roman travel path, but, more importantly, hid the Germanic tribesmen who lay in ambush as a trap set by Arminius. Upon arrival at the hill, the Cherusci spies abandoned the legions, joining the surrounding Germanic alliance, leaving between 15 and 20,000 Roman soldiers, families, and transports at the mercy of the tribes. But mercy is not what they received. The tribal coalition began a vicious attack. Some in the Roman cavalry managed an escape, only to be caught by the Germanic cavalry a little later on. The remainder of the 3 legions attempted to storm the wall, but were repelled by an ambushing tribe. Surrounded, hampered by treacherous conditions, and in unfamiliar terrain, the legionnaires attempted to engage the tribesmen in battle. What followed was an absolute massacre and slaughter in the forest, as the German tribes quickly overwhelmed the Romans and wiped Roman legions 17, 18, and 19 completely clean. Most were killed in battle, with numerous officers and commanders potentially taking their own lives. The remainder were either enslaved, sacrificed in Germanic ceremonies, or, per some historians, even cooked alive. All Roman accounts agree, however, that the massacre was both brutal and complete. The Teutoburg Forest massacre sent shockwaves of horror and fear throughout Rome. Emperor Augustus, devastated by the loss, purportedly expressed his grief by banging his head against a wall each night, pleading, "Varus, give me my legions back." Rome, which typically operated between 25 and 30 active legions, quite literally experienced a military decimation, losing 1/10 of their army, with the complete loss of 3, the 17th, 18th, and 19th legions. This loss wasn't just numerical, but held deep symbolic significance. While surrendering legions were often reorganized, Rome chose not to rebuild the devastated legions, marking a somber departure from their historical practices. Arminius, the orchestrator of the massacre, sought to exploit the aftermath by attempting to forge a Germanic anti-Roman alliance. In a symbolic gesture, he sent the head of Varus to Merobotus, king of the Marcomanni people. However, Merobotus declined the offer, choosing instead to send the head to Rome for proper burial, maintaining a neutral stance. Following Augustus's death, his stepson Tiberius commissioned retaliatory campaigns against the Germanic tribes under the command of Germanicus. These campaigns, executed with vengeance in mind, were largely successful, inflicting significant casualties upon Germanic forces, even recovering several legionary eagles lost during the Teutoburg massacre. These eagles, revered symbols of Roman battle, were crucial to restoring the honor of the defeated legions. While the retaliatory campaigns were triumphant, they marked a significant shift in Roman military tactics. Rome, once driven by expansionist ambitions, now pivoted toward defensive priorities. The Teutoburg Massacre not only left scars on Rome, but also catalyzed a strategic recalibration, emphasizing the importance of border security and prevention of future catastrophic losses. While scholars debate whether Roman expansion into Germania would have continued, given the regional economics to the empire, the prevailing theory is that the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest marks the end of Roman expansion into Germania. This halt not only left immediate and tangible impacts, but may have quietly yet dramatically altered the trajectory of European development. The Roman reluctance to venture deeper into Germania allowed Germanic tribes to maintain their cultural independence rather than succumb to Romanization. These decisions may have had far-reaching consequences, as these independent tribes, either directly or through their descendants, went on to significantly alter the social and political landscapes in Europe and beyond. Germanic tribes like the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, preserving their cultural distinctiveness, later embarked on conquests of Britain during the Western Roman Empire's decline. This event not only shaped Britain for millennia, but may have initiated the development of the English language, albeit undergoing significant changes over time. Britons could very likely have spoken a version of Latin dialect, rather than the Germanic language that took the island after the Anglo-Saxon conquest. The impact of these independent tribes even extended to the downfall of the Western Roman Empire, 4 centuries after the Forest Massacre. While the empire was undoubtedly in decline in the 5th century, Germanic tribes such as the Goths and Vandals, who might have been Romanized had expansion not halted, led the sackings of Rome. King Odoacer, the man who overthrew the final Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, likely had significant Germanic roots, underscoring the enduring influence of these tribes. Many of these tribes also migrated north, developing the northern Germanic groups that gave rise to modern Scandinavian culture and, more directly, the Vikings. While known for their ferocious seafaring raids, the Vikings also played a major role in the development of cities and trade across Europe. It can be argued that had these tribes been Romanized, the trajectories of these developments would have taken profoundly different paths, and Europe's development could have been unrecognizable compared to the contemporary landscapes we observe today. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us to continue creating captivating, impactful historical content. Thanks for watching.